Jin I actually liked in particular. My biggest concern was that the Nidalee and Nami were dying in the way of placing vision, which means Jin's just a sitting duck to the damage that was coming out of Legacy. Would not be shocked to see Frey on that again, given how well he performed in the 2v2 in particular.
That's a great point. He was able to constantly hit the bubbles and then allowed Frey to just set up that curtain call. Caught Kuden a few times with a heal and flash available. So maybe ban-worthy from Legacy. First pick worthy, not so sure.
Yeah, definitely not first pick worthy. But most of the focus we saw last time around had a hint of jungle, but mostly mid lane. Of course, Legacy now on the red side of the Rift changes what they would be looking to ban, which includes the Vladimir. The Rise is a staple away from the Hellions, one of the bans that they do command. I'm personally waiting for the day that Bomb brings back his Anivia so that he doesn't have to leave lane anymore. I still think that champion is good, and I only say it during Hellions games because I want them to play it. Where is the Anivia? Where's the bird?
Nothing wrong with picking champions that suit your playstyle. Saw Luch do it time and time again over in the OCS, making his way up to the OPL. Kind of had the same issue, just couldn't leave lane for the love of it. So,
what if there's a minion on the way?
That's it, right? Wants to make sure his CS is a nice 100 per 10 minutes. But back to the game. Rek'Sai Trundle being banned away from Hellions. Victor and Rise on the side of Legacy. Should be seeing the Vlad here.
Should be seeing the Vlad. Of course, the Jax was banned away in game number 1, which means that is a potentially picked champion.
Sure.
For both of these teams, again, I wouldn't suggest an early first pick of it. Maybe even looking towards the jungle with that first pick. That or the Karma stands out a little bit.
Trundle is gone. That kind of leaves open the Aurelia maybe. Or the Shen even as potential top laners coming into this.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of options still there.
Yeah, ton of them. So what Hellions do value. It seems to be the Karma is the go-to champion when she's available for that first pick, especially on the blue side.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially given Legacy's last team composition, Hellions might mind game themselves into taking that Karma to prevent any kind of Hecarim composition.
Sure.
But I would say that you're right. Maybe even that Shen's worth looking at. The assumption that Tally might look towards the Aurelia is fair, but there's also a Jax, which does quite well.
Seems none of those appeal to the likes of Hellion right now as they do pick up that Hecarim in first rotation.
And you'd have to imagine that Impaired's actually going to be the one locking that one down instead of Ryu. I quite like the option of Hecarim, and now that Legacy have won with it in the top lane, they've proven it to be a flex pick for them.
Definitely.
Carbon's also played the Hecarim, and he's almost better suited to the jungle because of his build path. He does a lot of damage at very creative ganking, especially around that middle lane, and Carbon and Choo-Choo's are a dynamic duo, if ever I've seen one.
Looks like they're going for that same bot lane once again. It would be the Lucian and the Braum. It did excellent. Towards the late game, they kind of stumbled, picked themselves up, so let's hope that was kind of a wake-up call to Legacy, and as you heard on the desk, they really want to go back to why they're winning, especially with the very strong teams coming up in the next 2 weeks. They really need to kind of pull their heads in and realize if we want to make this, we got to play.
Absolutely, but the Braum-Lucian pick in particular is a really good duo lane. We already saw it successful in game number 1. Why not bring that back again in the second? One niche reason not to do it, perhaps, is because the Hecarim can get past the Braum's combo quite successfully and get into the backline where that Lucian's going to be. Whoever mobile enough himself is king on this champion that he can dodge away and do a lot of his damage. We've seen him very much playing a frontline member of the team, though, when they had that Zillion backing him up. So the question now is, how do they round out the rest of that comp?
Interesting to see what Hellions go for. They lock in the Alistar and the Ezreal. Alistar didn't work too crash hot for the Direwolves in game number 2, but Luna played quite well on the support Nami last game. Going to be a totally different role in terms of how Alistar likes to support his team, but Frey does have that Ezreal this time.
Yeah, honestly, the Alistar pick to me is something that we have very sparingly seen. It makes sense when teams love fighting and they come towards you. Legacy definitely have that tendency. It's also got a decent amount of engage itself, but really, Braum's just the better version of the Alistar at present. It's just that they desperately feel like they must need that tank. I know a lot of Hecarim players like to rush the Trinity Force instead of completing the Cinderhulk build. Perhaps that's what it indicates.
Sure. A lot of options, a lot of paths to take here tonight that could lead them to eventually taking down the Nexus of Legacy, but with that Aurelia still available, Tally Gonna have that up in the top, and Carbon gets himself the Gragas for the jungle.
Now locks down that Graggy. As the engage has the disengage. Legacy as the team composition of 4 right now are reasonably well rounded. My expectation here waiting for Hellions' last rotation would be the Shen, coupled with any standard mid laner that will do. Actually, I'm going to keep saying the word Anivia.
We saw Choose hovering it before, maybe. A little bit of a shout out here. But like you mentioned, Shen really one of the only champions that can go into Aurelia, especially Tally's Aurelia here. So be hard pressed to find anyone else that can lane that well.
Yeah, unless they are trying to give something to Impaired, which it doesn't seem likely. Feels like they do want to have their solo lanes, and there it is.
Yeah, locking in that Rumble and the Lissandra, actually. So I haven't seen Lissandra in quite some time. Bomb going to have quite an easy time locking down anyone he should choose. And the Rumble up in the top.
And speaking of choose, it is definitely his turn to pick. I personally would like to see a Talia, given the Azir and Victor are taken off the board. You're able to push in a lot and maybe control that of the Lissandra. Your only real problem is the engage that can come onto you, and because there's a Hecarim on the opposite side of Summoner's Rift, they may not be inclined towards that, so could default back to a Zillion again. I would suggest, however, some damage as a 4-man unit, just in case Tally gets stuck in his 1v1 ways.
I've seen great things coming out of Talia on the global scale already. People all around the world picking her up, realizing her true potential, but could potentially be the twisted fate here for Choose. 4 seconds left on the clock. Gonna say he's locked it in just yet, but as the time ticks down, they will be getting that twisted fate, Destiny, pseudo-global present ultimate.
Wow. They finish off their team composition now, Legacy, and they give themselves the availability of a 1-3-1 with that last remaining pick of the Twisted Fate. They've set themselves up for team fighting a little bit more delicately, but the Gragas and the Braum should round it out for tanky members. King's got the physical with Tally, and Choose is actually providing a high damage dealer now in that mid lane with guaranteed stun, something that was honestly a little bit missing from Legacy up until that point. Their team fighting is difficult to execute on. It feels much more pick intensive. They want to actually lock someone down before the fight breaks out.
The only thing that kind of stands out to me here is Hellions. They've got a team composition that's just going all in, but you heard it on the desk that seems to be what's really the thorn in their side right now, is no one's backing each other, and they're all playing on kind of different tracks right now. So drafting a composition, it seems easy enough. Lissandra chucks down the ultimate. There comes the Rumble. There comes the Hecarim. The story kind of writes itself. But do you think Hellions can pull this off tonight?
It's just like dropping a mixtape, you know. You can be the star of it as long as you've got people featuring on different tracks. But if they're all featuring on different tracks and there's no star, it just feels a little bit disconnected.
All right, if you want to pick up the Hellions mixtape, head over to Twitter, #HLNWin. Or if you think Legacy are dropping hot fire right now, #LGCWin, and show your support for these guys on the social media platforms.
I like that you went with that, by the way. That was great. Impressive. Definitely, though. We touched on the Legacy's team composition. Hellions on the flip side, you already said it. They're pretty much standard team fighting. They want to get the 5v5. They just want to ram their heads at the opponent and win through the draft.
Well, no cleanse taken for Choose, so there could be an avenue for Impaired and Bomb to get their advantages, but we are into game number 2 of the night. Hellions taking on Legacy. Legacy already up 1-0, and Choose running the ugliest skin I've ever seen.
Red card?
Yeah,
great.
They're fighting. They're fighting immediately.
Four-man pole.
Someone called a red card already. Kuden, in a world of hurt, he's going to get taken down. First blood goes to Impaired, and if this is what Hellions need to win, they're trying their darndest. Carbon forced to retreat, taking that body slam early. I don't think they have what it takes to pick him up to get the kill onto Kuden.
No, he does get out. They get one pick, surprisingly not more. That was a 4-man pulverize from Luna to actually start that one off. So, take stock of what's happened. No summoner spells on both supports. Bottom lane's a big threat now. Junglers should actually be looking there. However, Gragas not having his flash with his body slam means that ganks are harder for him, whereas Impaired doesn't necessarily need the Ghost. It's more of a move speed augmenting ability for someone that already has a lot of that. I would say that Hellions in this early game might actually have a lot of pressure, and the question is always brought up after a level 1 fight, who freaks out and lane swaps, or do they actually want standard?
We know Hellions, they have what it takes to run with Legacy in this laning phase. It's what comes after that they're really struggling with. So let's hope this is enough to kind of put a band-aid on that for now.
Well, it feels like they're applying a second band-aid of their own through putting themselves on the top side of the map. First blood went over to Impaired as well, so of all people on Summoner's Rift to be picking that one up for Hellions, it's actually a big win for this team.
Already, gang presence in the mid lane. Bomb gets hit up by Kuden. Might have to flash it. There it does, but gets the stun proc extra damage as well.
Yeah, if he was going to flash, he may as well have just flashed earlier to avoid the damage from happening anyway. But Kuden with a cheeky level 1 rotation towards his middle lane burns the summoner of this Lissandra. Unfortunately, Legacy can't really make a repeat occurrence unless they threaten a dive, simply because of the minions being pushed now.
Carbon just going to be taking away this Raptor camp at his own leisure. Those other things that lane swaps allow him to do, kind of cut the map in a very weird direction here. But looking at Luna's items, he's got that coin here, so kind of showing that he wants that passive gold rather than the execute gold.
Also gives 5% cooldown reduction now. When you upgrade, it gives 10. So a bit of extra CDR now available for that Alistar with less itemization. We'll see where he goes from here, because Alistar does like having cooldown reduction. It's just very hard come by.
So little additions here and there, allowing supports to kind of diversify their builds, but Carbon, he's quite healthy, and he knows that Lissandra has no flash.
Guaranteed TF stun
no
will make
vision.
it hit.
Oh no, he's gone in at the wrong time, but here is Impaired. It's going to be who can kill the mid laner first. Impaired's up a little bit too far now. Choose, he's very low. Can he get the last auto? Not going to land. Bomb can't connect onto Choose, but now Bomb's in trouble. The gold card comes through, the wild card connects, and that's a kill for Choose.
Really good control from Choo Choo's and Carbon, switching targets, knowing that Lissandra had expended everything, and then turning back around. Impaired does still have kill threat on a Choose if he uses a card. And Carbon's here for that exact reason.
Oh, teleport is coming through. Carbon actually secures that one with the help of Choose. Carbon didn't even
Bomb's
help actually,
back.
but now Bomb, he's
And
gone in.
Luna.
Then caught Choose. Luna comes in. The cow supports that one. Does have the extra damage from the Thunderlords.
Yeah, but for what it's worth, that is now a 2-in-1 Twisted Fate that they just took out.
Yep.
And that's actually a big victory for Legacy. This early movement required Luna even to be here. Not necessary from Legacy with Kuden, who can stay with his AD carry, help those lane swaps, maybe set the rest of the map up nicely. But it's good to see adaptation from both of these teams, recognizing that middle, with a Twisted Fate and a Lissandra, both oppositions are killable.
Kuden did, not Kuden, rather Bomb.
Tally's
Actually
overstayed.
gets the double bust on that one. Tally might be in trouble now, has the tower to go to, but he's going to get chunked out. Essence Flux for good measure.
Yeah, he overstayed trying to get one extra minion, but Frey just walked at him until he ran.
Yeah.
Makes sense. As Ryu, speaking of overstaying, is able to do so.
It's a hilarious effect when the flame spitter's on the shield.
I'm just so glad we're not on the Chinese client anymore. Or the Korean client, honestly. They sound very weird, their rumbles. Ryu might be choosing to stay here. Yeah, get out.
Yep, forced to retreat. Good teleport coming in from Tally to help his team secure that one.
It's actually a perfect teleport from Tally. It means the response has to come in from Ryu on the flip side. And hello, mid lane. Carbon has flash now.
Oh, Bomb this time is able to escape with the Claw of Doom. Gets himself to safety. Choose only had a red card in his pocket, but see Carbon, he just jumps over the back wall looking for another attempt on this mid.
Yeah, maybe even a dive. Unlikely that we would see that. Those Twisted Fate, especially as we get closer towards a level 6 point. Doesn't exactly gain kill threat from this. One thing we didn't note as well is that through a lane swap, through both of these turrets being taken on each respective side of Summoner's Rift, we open ourselves up to the avenue of a Twisted Fate ultimate, coinciding with around the same timing. Meaning that level 6 movements and ganks can catch people trying to freeze, as Choose is now caught.
Choose might be in trouble. Here comes Impaired, goes through a few more auto attacks, should do it. Choose, he's running for his life. He has level 2 boots, but the red buff
Carbon's
is
dead now
enough
as well.
to burn him down. Luna comes in. Carbon with the nice flash to safety.
Yeah, Carbon has to blow the Summoner spell to get out. Choose didn't have his Ghost available until right now-ish. Now. Yeah, that could have saved him. Didn't save him. Impaired now level 6, got that first blood now 2-in-1. Definitely scaling up on this Hecarim. And focusing Bomb's lane. I tell you what, if he's not going to leave it, make it work.
That's exactly right. Bring the enemies to him, essentially, and let him do his thing. But Lissandra, very easy to help your jungler. You can lock down champions at the click of a button here.
There is a party in that mid lane. People have been bringing around kegs and everything. What's going off?
Someone may have dropped down a lure, Rusty. Everyone just lining up.
Yeah, probably.
We'll choose. He's still in level 5, so he's going to be sticking around for that mid lane for quite a while. Right, he might be in trouble. Throws down the ward for good measure. Finds Carbon, who takes his trophy and walks on out.
Yeah, and choose level 6, so
yeah.
Ryu had to run. You could see those pings indicating that exact thing as Luna is actually looking towards that middle lane as well. The Sundu doesn't have ulti, so the lockdown's not entirely there. It's the Ghost and Twisted Fate does provide. But the second aspect of this lane swap is now commencing, and it's all about keeping Ryu down. Stopping him from getting farm, and trying to make sure that Tally gets some as he's playing with fire.
Tally does get knocked up. A lot of damage. The Ignite actually forces the flash, but Frey goes in, gets the kill. Will they get a return? 2 turrets, 3 turret shots onto Frey. Chu should have no trouble picking this one up.
And gets a big wave with him, so Tally may not get it, but at least somebody does. The other side of the map, you're actually going to see the turret taken down, so it's actually a big win if Choose doesn't get dove, which he is about to.
Yep, here comes Impaired level 6, locked up by Luna, beautifully timed. CC
Luna's
stacking it well. Luna actually in trouble. There goes the gold card, not going to matter as Impaired runs him down.
Yeah, you've actually got Choose here. This is really risky though for Legacy to chase this any further.
This is an absolute bloodbath up at this top lane. Luna survives by the skin of his teeth. Kuden and Tally just have to take point and watch.
Once again, Choose may have died, but he saved that turret from going down.
Definitely.
He did collect all of the CS as his dying wish. And Legacy are able to collect that bottom lane turret in response. It doesn't mean that Legacy are winning this game. In fact, everything's pretty much been brought back to null. And a slight edge in this middle lane you would have assumed for Bomb is now negated.
Bomb currently up about 10 CS. Gold lead does favor Hellions by about 400, so not too much at the moment. Choose getting his first successful gank with the ultimate. Saves the tower, gets the minions, as you said. Now, we have seen a tendency for Bomb to want to go in when his Hecarim is nearby, and where's Hecarim? Of course, he's just off in the wings here.
Yeah, Luna's also been hanging around with Impaired on that Hecarim, so
Make
yeah, Alistar Hecarim combo has a lot of crowd control between them when they couple them, and
here
kill
it
threat.
comes. Choose forced to flash immediately. There is the Glacial Prison onto Choose. He's surviving for what seems like an absurd amount of time. Carbon playing the savior, comes in, keeps him safe. Kuden is in the fight as well, gets the flash, gets the auto. Tally's here too. A complete disaster for Hellions.
2 kills now. That was massive from Carbon. That cask actually separated everybody from Twisted Fate's exact location. He has the Ghost running, used the flash earlier, so caused some distance between them. And Legacy up that tempo around the level 6 point as Rumble's trying to say no.
Just chucks down the ulti to burn off the wave, but Carbon definitely, that barrel definitely worthy of the belt at this stage.
There's 5 kills currently on Legacy. Choo Choo's currently has 5 kills and no assists.
What does that say about how Hellions are playing this map? Everyone mid ASAP.
Yeah, unsurprisingly. They're now changing up that strategy to work around the member of the team that really was hesitant to leave his lane. Unfortunately for them, they've given 5 kills to Choose, who just got a double. May go back and actually just get a big spike.
Well, that's the thing. He had that Megatron cloak, so that did wonders for being able to survive the onslaught that Bomb came in with. He hit the ulti, and then there was a bunch of CC, but his health bar kind of didn't go down below half.
Yeah, basically just sets himself up for a Lich Bane next purchase.
Oh, wow.
He's going to be huge at that time. Up until then, he's definitely still exploitable, but with his ultimate there, we'll see how it's played out. Once again, Legacy very good at giving freeze farm to Tally and trying to keep Ryu down. It's one of their strengths, but their weakness is usually exactly what Hellions are doing. They just haven't been able to execute as crisply as they would have liked.
Kuden and King up in this top.
A bit deep.
Both these supports actually still sitting on level 6, and an ultimate's available. The ping's coming through. Everyone's actually here for Hellions. Can they get there in time? Kuden slowing them down, doing all he can. There is Impaired, gets the fear, gets the kill. Frey picks that one up. King can only sit and watch, but 5 members for the support. They're going to lose mid tower here, I think.
Yeah, they're going to lose mid. They've still got the freeze bottom, but Tally doesn't have teleport. Nothing can stop Carbon from clearing this wave, let alone King using his culling for it. And so Hellions now put 5 people up here with the potential of getting the turret.
Arcane Barrage goes through to clear out the wave. Impaired, running point right now, keeping them at bay. Hellions looking for something, or committing to the cause, but they may just be able to get the tower for their troubles. Carbon trying to prolong it as much as possible. The tower still alive.
They're all in
on
Carbon.
Carbon, trying to kill him. They should have enough damage. He's gone. The red carpet has been laid, and he didn't want to touch it.
Carbon dies. Mid lane turret fell. And honestly, Carbon was just trying to avoid the Rumble ultimate instead of walking through it. Just gets hit by Lissandra. Legacy are dying repeatedly in an attempt to keep them here.
Well, it might happen again as King and Kuden caught out once again, and this seems like deja vu. Down goes the support. Still 5 members strong in this top lane. It's calling on a ward this time.
Yes, again, like because this has been super prolonged, yes, they're giving kills over, yes, they're getting gold to Hellions. This is fantastic for them. Not only is global gold now starting to spill over towards Legacy, the farm values that the Aurelia's picked up, the farm advantage that was 10 behind, honestly, has now picked up 1v1.
Let's see who can get the better of this one. The heal goes down for both members. Flash actually for Frey as there is Carbon. Poor Frey. Tally picks that one up.
The Pulsefire Ezreal makes a lot of annoying sounds as he goes down. We already spoke to the Trinity Force that the Aurelia picked up compared to components that the Rumble has. Well, that's exactly where we're looking towards. As with these spikes, and they are big spikes, Legacy can now look towards objectives, maybe actually accelerate a gold lead. It was good movement from Hellions, but they just stayed there for 2 minutes actually securing all of that. And you can't discredit them for it. It was honestly absurd that Legacy kept gifting them these kills. Yet it works out.
Yeah, it cost them both their mid lane turrets. Choose just was able to barrel down there. Imagine if you had that Lich Bane at the time.
I just feel like the threat from Hellions to keep pushing was probably greater than that of Legacy, freezing for the Aurelia.
Carbon might be in trouble, but Luna unfortunately misses the combo. Impaired is still there to get the knock up. Bomb just hovering off into the wings. They defend the red buff, but Choose has the Lich Bane, so a lot of upfront damage.
Carbon asking for death.
Let's have the body slam available. Choose there to back him up with the blue buff now.
Yeah, a Twisted Fate wave clear. Not likely that Hellions are going to break that one whatsoever, so the objective that they're looking towards is the Drake. Makes sense if they want the objective now. I don't think that Legacy had ever fight it though.
About 2,000 gold behind at the moment, but they have the team fight composition to end all team fight compositions. As that signals Legacy to just make a rotation up to the top lane.
Yeah, one team wants to 5v5 and just ram their heads into the opponent, and they have been doing that. In fact, they're ahead in the kill score. The other team just wants to snowball and play the map, play it slow, but play it efficiently. And that's what Legacy are looking to do now. Rumble, if he gets there, will have the ulti.
Can he get there in time, though? Equalizer is off cooldown. Should be able to use it. There it is, but uses it on the minions rather than the players. So Hellions once again on the back foot.
Yeah, and the 4-man unit of Legacy still put a lot of damage down. This exact movement makes sense from them, playing around vision that they have, looking to catch them out.
Frey gets caught with the flash gold card, not going to matter. Kuden actually picks that one up, teleport from Tally for good measure. And once again, Legacy have positional advantage on the map.
Yeah, and they want to get that top lane turret. They can do that. And this is the backfiring of what Hellions were trying to do. They give enough time to set up waves, break freezes, and make slow pushes for Legacy to capitalize on as the map starts to break open. Right now, the map's definitely open. Legacy have got themselves 3k in the lead.
Choose gets a nice refresh on the blue buff. Fitting that it just timed out now. Legacy got their sights set on
They want to defend this Herald from the looks of it.
Yeah.
Hellions are constantly trying to fight.
No equalizer available, and Frey's on the bot side, so I think Hellions put a pin in it for now.
Yeah.
Move back to that mid lane.
That dead Ezreal causes a lot of problems when they actually put it into perspective. Look, this is very unorthodox. Unorthodox.
There we
that
go.
word was too hard for no reason. Unorthodox League of Legends.
There we go. We got there, Rusty. I'm very happy. Down in the bot, we see Impaired and Frey just doing what they can. Poor Frey being picked off a few times now by Choose, who just have that Lich Bane available. He's sitting on it for quite some time. It's either a Abyssal Scepter or the Zonias to see what he goes with in the end. Recalling now. Should be able to pick it up.
We'll see what style he prefers, of course, between the two. You would imagine the Zonias, given what he is up against.
True.
Even though there's a lot of magic damage to be seen, the Zonias is really valuable against the Hecarim ulti, the Lissandra damage, and the Rumble ulti if it comes to it. He can also alter his ultimate pattern, so where he uses the Destiny and he positions himself a bit more forward.
No real objectives up for either team, so this is where Hellions struggled, I feel, to kind of use their team composition well, because they want to butt heads with the enemy, but Legacy got nothing to fight for. And very aggressive by Frey, but Carbon doesn't take the bait.
Yeah, and they have a wave clear mid laner, so Legacy don't need to fight. Helion's resolve is actually just to fight constantly. It makes sense.
Head does have the ultimate available. Chooses just to walk on out though. Choose doing what he can to clear out this mid. Ryu gets taken very low. Chucks the ultimate in the back. Nice ulti by Kuden. Choose still alive somehow. Frey can't take him out, but in the midst of that, there goes the Rumble. Falls down, Carbon follows Kuden. A nice double kill for Frey.
But Legacy have a collapse now set up here.
Can they do anything? It's a 2v4. Choose. Luckily, he does have that available. Tally coming in, gets a kill. Here is King. Gold card after gold card. Choose is on fire right now. A double kill. Looking to make it a triple for Tally.
Yeah, big snowball now for Legacy as King just throws the culling backwards, because I'm pretty sure Tally was asking for the third kill. They tried to dive. You have to commend Hellion's efforts. They built themselves this team composition. It was the style they chose. They are playing out that style to the best of their ability. But Legacy have a 6-kill mid laner who has a Zhonya's Hourglass and plays around that strength incredibly well. Legacy just get a response. For a 5-man dive, to not get a turret throughout this, it says a lot.
Yeah, the Hellions are kind of kicking themselves right now, falling further and further behind. Looked bright when they got that first early kill, but the map control from Legacy is proving too much for them right now. As
you would, Tally.
Got himself the wit's end here against all that magic resistance. But I'm sure in his mind, this game is very one-sided.
It's one of those things, like, Tally, I love you, you're a great bloke, but wit's end, I know you're having a laugh. It's actually a good item in this particular game.
Sure.
You have to look at what he's against. We already said that, yeah, Zhonya's is good for a Twisted Fate, but it's the utility that he gets from the ultimate. The wit's end is actually quite beneficial. Not only does Ezreal do a bit of mixed damage, Hecarim does a tiny bit of mixed damage, including the ultimate and the W.
Yep.
There's also a Rumble and a Lissandra just hitting people on Summoner's Rift. So instead of, let's say, a Banshee's Veil or a Spirit Visage or something that is standard, he goes for the Wit's End because he wants to have more attack speed and do more damage whilst having the resistances. It's a happy medium.
We'll see if Hellions can break the base finally in this mid lane. Hey, it goes down. Both Bomb and Impeder are slowed. Carbon might be looking for something here on Impaired.
Has flash.
Goes for it. Forces the ultimate, doesn't use the flash either, but they've turned their sights onto Carbon, gets out quite quickly. Frey now gets stunned up. Carbon just knocks them all away. Teleport from Tally in the backline, but Kuden the first to fall. But look at the blinking health bars from Hellion. Not going to matter. Here comes Tally, cleaning them up with the wit's end.
And the Zhonya's now used from Choose.
Oh, he does go down, but it should be an ace as King gets every single proc of the culling that matters.
Yeah, King locks it down at 20 minutes into this game. Legacy are now pushing towards an inhibitor. Right on cue, honestly. Looking fantastic is Choo Choo's. Hit and miss mid laner. Doesn't feel like that is any longer a statement that I can use about him.
Did an amazing job this game. As you mentioned, 5 kills at one stage on Choose, 5 kills for Legacy. Hellions, they threw everything in the kitchen sink at him. It didn't matter. Constantly, Carbon was there to help him out. We saw Kuden as well very early on lending a hand, and it seemed that Legacy, they had Hellions number from the early game.
I feel like we're past that point. Like, they didn't even just throw the kitchen sink. They like hired a plumber that was there to fix it, and they just threw him with it. Like, honestly, they like went to the tip and they picked things up that they were going to throw in. They just threw everything they could find.
Unfortunately, Choose just brushes it off, walks away. A little bit scathed, not completely unscathed.
Well, kitchen sink hurts.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But he's got an hourglass, so he's able to get through it. They've just got so much damage now on the side of Legacy. As a team composition, 4 damage dealers, because it's an early game Gragas, and he's working on his proto belt, so can't wait to see him snowballing with that item. Never seen it on a Gragas. Doesn't make sense. Glad we're seeing it.
Look, if you think Body Slam Flash is good, wait till you see Body Slam Proto Belt. It's revolutionary, Rusty.
I really don't see that working. You know why Body Slam Flash is good, Rogi?
Tell me why, Rusty.
Because the Body Slam hits. Body Slam Proto Belt means the Proto Belt hits.
That's it. That's what he wants. He's going for that Proto Belt damage.
Interesting values. Nonetheless, Hellions are going to try and fight for every single thing that they can.
Might get it here in Pan. Blocking away Carbon. Dragon getting lower and lower. Red carpet has been laid. Bomb just using the ultimate on himself. Kuden the first to fall, but here is Tally in the backline just cleaning up Choose ults in the fight, gets a nice double slow, and another ace for Legacy.
Clean ace, 30 odd seconds. We'll see if they look towards the Baron or towards ending the game. King wants to end, Legacy want to Baron. There we go. So they've decided as a 3.5-man unit that the Purple Worm is the major objective they want to take. Hellions once again, they just ram their heads at it. Yep. They try absolutely their hardest to get a team fight, and it feels like we're watching their composition, and I'm appreciating that they potentially could be winning these team fights. It just isn't unfolding that way. Of course, Legacy are far too large at this point.
Yep, they've fallen too far behind at this stage, it seems, even when everything goes according to plan. Unfortunately, the plan just isn't good enough. The Nexus turrets do still stand, so the onslaught of super minions wasn't enough, as both of them were about half health, so splitting their aggro inefficiently for the Legacy, unfortunately.
See, that time around, they had a team fight where they basically recruited the kitchen sink to help throw things at them.
Choose just picked it back up and he's like, hey, I think you dropped this, mate. Throws it back onto Bomb in the form of a red card.
Of course, I'm referring to a Cloud Drake this time around, so there's the... Yeah. He's basically a kitchen sink as far as Drakes go. Got him. Take that, Cloud Drake.
The Cloud Drake, he is not the most useful one, I will say, but at least a kitchen sink, it's all right. I value a kitchen sink.
Again, a kitchen sink has a purpose, much like a Cloud Drake does.
Yeah, exactly right. Prefer to wash my hands in the bathroom sink anyway. Carbon, a little bit far up, but at this stage, I don't think everyone on Hellions could take him down in time for Legacy not to be there and act accordingly.
Void Stuff actually picked up by Ryu. They're all about doing that teamfight damage. They've actually got a lot of accelerated damage-dealing items to compensate for the resistances that Legacy have. Our relative strength will be interesting as they've spotted you.
It was going to be that or an Ardent Blaze. One of the two there. The Proto Belt from Carbon. Shows some dominance in the lane, saying, hey, get out of here.
Spooky. Pushes them off. Baron buff now barreling down 3 different lanes at once. This is a 3-man unit of Legacy that can get engaged on.
Oh, here they come. They found King. He's going to go down any minute now. Finally falls. No zone is available for him, but Impaired and Bomb are low. Tally in the back of it. Just deletes members. Gets a double. Looking for the triple onto Luna. Carbon picks that one up. This should very well and truly be game as Choose. He flashes in. Ryu goes down the next one to fall. Now Frey, is the fountain going to be safe enough? No, is the answer to that question.
The fountain's definitely not a safe place. Choose has a lot of damage. Carbon's Proto Belt is off cooldown already, so a little bit flashy from the Legacy team, but it took them 25 minutes. They got there.
Look, game 1, they definitely raised some questions, but game 2, essentially, they died 14 times. 41 kills in 25 minutes. Definitely a bloodbath of a game.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And a lot of it came down to Choo-Choo's in that middle lane on the Twisted Fate. But not only that, Carbon rounding it out, actually making sure his mid laner stays alive and being a dynamic duo in this second game. Something that's refreshing to see from Legacy again.
Yeah, both Impaired and Carbon spending a lot of time there. Even the supports making their way down time from time to just ensure that both teams' strat of kind of focusing on this mid lane works out in their favor.
And for what it's worth, you have to commend Hellions on their strategy. They went all in.
All right, that does it for myself and Rusty. We're going to throw it back to the desk to break down the last game of the night.
Thanks so much, Rogi. 41 kills, I think 25 minutes of action, an absolute bloodbath on Summoner's Rift, as Legacy, frankly, tore apart the Hellions in the end, and it was a lot about that 2v2 in the mid lane. I mean, we spoke about it. Legacy threw the gauntlet, and they came up trumps.
Yeah, big shout out to Carbon as well, mechanically outplaying pretty much everyone on the map a couple of times. I mean, we saw some fantastic casts, but even the initial gank where Hecarim comes in, Choose looks like it's in a disaster, but the communication of the trust, Carbon just stands right on top of Twisted Fate, blocks the incoming CC, and then sets up a beautiful counter.
Yeah, Carbon played like many of those counter ganks incredibly well. There was one where pretty much they were getting dived, right, mid, and he just throws out the incredible cask mid, just like...
People go 3 different directions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was great.
Yeah, it certainly was. And, you know, maybe the macro play actually increased a little bit from Hellions that time. I mean, they were threatening tier 2s. They were making sure they were jockeying for position. But you can just see this as a team that, like, if we were seeing this in week 1, it's promising for us. Like, they're starting to put it together, but a little bit too late because they just don't have the timings down.
Yeah, too little, too late. they were actually doing really well for a portion of that game, particularly early. If you think about them contesting that top tower or the second inner turret. The only thing is they just kind of overstayed their welcome when Legacy got those chasing kills. But for the majority of, taking and sieging that tower, completely the right move from Hellions. They just needed to move afterwards.
And it was like a bit of both, right? Because I felt like Hellions were playing a little better. They were getting a little more. There's a lot more teamwork coming out of it. But you kind of saw as well that Legacy they're not picking it up together. Like even though they're blowing away these games, there are a lot of times where they're taking bad fights. They're not in the correct position. They're freezing with Aurelia when she doesn't have flash, so they're kind of giving up a lot on the map. So yeah, it works against Hellions. You can smash out games like that, but if you play against better teams, it might be a little bad.
Yeah, I feel like we always say that, but Legacy always rise to the occasion, and they were good enough tonight, so they will pick up to the 2-0 win. As we have a look at the results from the rest of the night, it was, of course, going to be Abyss eSports picking up a surprise 2-0 over the Direwolves, and then Legacy did retain their OPL Legend title by taking down the Hellions 2-0. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Sin are going to take to the Summoner's Rift versus Avant-Garde before the Chiefs try and get back a winning record versus Tainted Minds, who just don't want to let it happen. As we have a look at the standing and where the teams are, Legacy is now outright first, a game buffer as well as a head-to-head over the Direwolves. Chiefs are going to be third, tied with Avant-Garde. Abyss are on their tails, however, 4-4. Didn't see that one coming, to be honest, and Tainted Minds are 3-4. We can have some wacky situations if games go south tomorrow. Sin Gaming at 2-5 and still want to push for playoffs, although they still need some luck. And the Hellions still searching for that first win at 0-8. However, guys, that is all the League of Legends action we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of myself, the casters, the analysts, and the entire production crew, thank you so much, and we'll catch you tomorrow at 6 p.m.